Welcome one, welcome all to episode 264 of the Xbox Expansion Pass, recorded on Saturday, February 22nd, 2025. I'm your host, Luke Lohr, the InsipidGhost, joined by my co-host, the intrepid Captain Logun. Today, we are discussing black hole games and the turmoil surrounding them as job cuts strike yet again one of the most successful titles in the industry. Xbox showcases new AI technologies used to make games and possibly preserve games. And of course, there is an Xbox ID at Xbox showcase coming up soon. As always, we hope you enjoy the show. Logan, we like to start the show by offering words of kindness. Those have made our gaming weeks better. But first, how are you, my friend?
Doing good. I've been playing Sea of Thieves on stream the last couple days. Shout out to those who were here that were watching. And yeah, just been pretty much gaming for most of the week. Work has been going steady. So because we don't have like any reviews that I'm working on right now, we've just been getting back to games in general. So outside of that, just kind of watching the news, hoping the weather warms up a little bit more. So yeah, that's pretty much what's been going on in my week. How about yours?
My week was frustrating because they canceled school for 3 days, which normally is like a great thing. But we started off our day with like professional developments this week. So like 2 days of being around adults, which is the least favorite part of teaching. And then they canceled school. So like I kind of just was bored. I missed the kids. I'd rather be in school with them than talking to adults virtually or anything. So you know, in that respect, like I guess good and bad. Hard to complain when you have off work, but like we could have gone to school. I don't understand. But so it goes. I've been playing a game that I possibly for review, but I think I've decided I'm not going to review it, but I am going to make a video on it called Not a Review or something like that. Because I just don't feel qualified even after 15 plus hours. It's just not my thing, but I've enjoyed the process. So
impressions, maybe an impressions video.
Yeah, something to showcase that, like, you know, I spent time with this. This is outside of my wheelhouse, but here are my thoughts on it. But I don't think it's worthy of being called a review because it's just not something that I would do. Big shout out to Addy Zero starting us off today. $2 super chat. Salute to panel and chat. Thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate you. You are helping get us to Summer Game Fest and support the channel. And gotta tell you, we need it. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So I think that's what I'm gonna do is do like an impressions, not a review type video, because I do want to talk about it. I do want to justify the fact that I was sent a code for review, but it's just not a Luke Lohr experience, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So. No, I don't blame you. I know what you're talking about, and I feel the exact same way, which is why when you were talking about playing it, I was like, good luck. Because, buddy, I would not want to have to play that game. That game is
good.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. I mean, it is good.
Yeah.
Like,
we can't keep talking around a game we can't announce, though. That's
fair point.
Weird. People are going to be like, I don't know what he's talking about. I don't care.
Okay. In that case, I want to give a shout out and words of kindness to two people, I suppose. First up being Kevin Ainsworth. Got in a little car accident last night. Yeah. He is okay and fine. But
it was girlfriend
with her
fiance.
He picked her up. Yeah. Drunk driver hit him. But I hate that for him. I'm glad he's okay. Glad that everyone is okay. But I'm thinking about him, you know, just wanted him to know that he's in our thoughts. Because now that we're good that everyone's okay, there's still a lot of logistics that come and insurances and stress and hassle. And so just love and support to them, to that, you know, to Kevin and his fiance and such. Also want to give shout outs to the Nerd Chat because I was home from work and I was just in their chat. Impromptu, hey Luke, come on. Love those. I was able to jump on and just chat kind of in the week after you were on.
Yeah.
So we both got to talk about and our thoughts
invading the Nerd Chat.
Yeah. But they're just great people and it was good fun. So I enjoyed that. So yeah. How about you?
The week has been interesting. I would just like to call out that my words of kindness go out to Kev. He's constantly putting out really good content, him and Sam, over on Save the Game Media. So if you guys get a chance, go over to that channel. Make sure that you guys give them some love because he could really use some pick-me-ups after losing. Anytime a car gets hit in these days, in this generation of car creation, it's just totaled. one of my friends, Kylea, who's in chat over on Twitch, who's calling me a liar for this not being the first season or the season of Sea of Thieves, which it is. I am the new Megalodon. I apologize. Fight me. It any car that gets hit is effectively totaled. There's very few chances where you can usually like have the cost of what insurance is willing to pay to cover the vehicle. Most of the times they would rather just wipe the vehicle and have you buy a new one and give you the sum of the value of the vehicle, which is always depreciated and never as much as what the actual car would cost or a new car would cost. So you always end up having to pay more just to get a new car. And I absolutely hate that. So yes, and in a Stormy Sea Dog points out, I was built with AI. This is one of those situations where I could be a Terminator and I don't know it. I just have to wait until I find the right child that I have to hunt down before I realize like my code has been activated. So
you do have that voice that like says, "I could kill you. I've been programmed to do
kill
so."
You if I wanted to.
Yeah, you and Jam Pack Sam have such distinct radio voices.
Don't even compare me to that man.
I'm not saying it's the same voice, but like if you two were on the radio, people would be like, it's a radio voice.
If you hear Jam Pack Sam on the radio, you're gonna be like, wow, this dude should be telling me some of the most amazing like narratives. Like he has got the perfect voice. I just have a deep voice. He has like the perfect voice. So
yeah, but you stay in like a monotone range. Like you don't kick high or low emotionally. You bring it like
so I'm good for NPR. That's what you're saying.
There you go. Yes.
That would be good.
Yes.
And
that's the radio.
News.
That is perfect. That is exactly what you should do. That is exactly like you have the voice for that. I don't think that's a diss, by the way. I feel like you're taking it like one, but I don't think so. NPR is wonderful.
Fund it to talk about gaming news instead of NPR. Maybe they could hire me for. Maybe NPR needs. I could be the
gaming correspondent.
Gaming correspondent, like what's his name over at Washington Post, whose name is like escaping me right now. Gene Park. I could be the Gene Park for NPR.
I want to give a shout out to X Bacon Gaming in chat because he said Luke made fun of. I think he means like I made fun of him on Thursday, and he's sad. You're absolutely right because for 3 weeks in a row he's complaining about the same game, and then he's like, I want to do it to make the PlayStation people cry. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Because they don't complete their games.
Who cares?
Well, like they tout themselves as being like, here's
week over week.
I know. There is like an Xbox PlayStation feud that goes in our DMs that is like it perpetuates the idea that Sony gamers are better because they have more exclusives and their content is better. But Bacon's response to this is that none of the PlayStation gamers that tout their console and their games ever even finish the games, and that he's working to prove that he has more trophies than most PlayStation gamers out there, which honestly ties into one of our topics today about black hole games, because it seems to me that nobody is finishing games. Like we finish games from time to time, but even we were just talking about how you want to do kind of like an impressions video on this game that you've been playing, but you can't justify the review because you haven't like gotten a chance to play through it to completion. Plus it's not really in your wheelhouse, and it just not really like there's too many games. So I can understand like where he's coming from, but it is funny that as a PC gamer, he is striving so hard to get these platinum trophies.
In 2023, the XEP theme was find the fun.
Yeah.
In 2024, games are not work.
Yeah.
In 2025, play the games where you enjoy them.
All
the core tenet in all of this is to enjoy what you are doing. And this man is miserable. I don't get it. Like, I will not punish myself for the sake of clout. And that is a different thing than content creation, though they do overlap, right? Like if I had not enjoyed Avowed, but I was committed to making the review, that is a little bit different than playing a game to say that I beat it. It's like the people that bought the rival system to say they bought it. Like I know a lot of people that bought PlayStations to say, well, I have a PlayStation 5 and I never touch it. That's a lot of money spent to not touch something. I mean, I am married, so. So, Black Hole Games. Let's. I wish I hadn't
can't
made
even
that
go
joke,
into
but it was
it.
really good.
I can't even go into it. I want to say something, but I
know.
can't go to it.
I know. I didn't mean to open that door. Oh, but it was funny. All right. So let's talk about Black Hole Games.
Yeah.
I do want to talk about these because this past week we saw Marvel Rivals axe its entire US based operation. And on the surface, that reads terribly. The game director, air quotes, came out and said, "Hey, I've got great people. They need jobs, etc." And I really appreciated the sentiment of people like rushing to flock. Like, hey, wait, the game director of Marvel Rivals was canned. What's going there? They closed a whole studio. I think there was a lot of misleading headlines, some misleading reporting, and some of the news came out in disjointed fashion. And so the bigger picture was lost on a lot of people, to include myself early on. And so, hey, Aussie fan, good to see you. Stormy Sea Dog and Todd Oxter, I'm not ignoring your comments. SJ, I see you. We're going to get you guys in there. Logan, will you star some of those?
Yeah.
So the actuality of the story as we understand it now at the time of our recording, Thaddeus Sasser, who was listed in many interviews as the game director, but he's not actually the game director. The game director is in China at one of NetEase's main studios there. But Thaddeus did a lot of like the Western interviews and such and was listed as game director. He and his 6-person team, to include himself, were axed as NetEase is closing up shop in multiple countries and really just consolidating themselves to Chinese-based, to Asian-based studios, but really like they're aiming for a Chinese-based studio there. This is actually what took place, and the sentiment being that if Marvel Rivals, which has been an incredible success to enter into kind of a top 10 most played across all platforms, to enter into breaking the live service molds, it's up there with it's up there with Fortnite. It's up there with Call of Duty. It's up there with Minecraft. Power World. I guess is that in there still? Good for them. My point is, it's up there with the heavy hitters and broke in, right? Where a lot of games have tried and failed. And so for Rivals to accumulate 20 million players, just launched season 1.5, so like halfway through their first season, to have launched its 4th character since the game came out, it just was very odd. The bigger picture here is that the billionaire head of NetEase, his name is William Ding. He's the CEO of NetEase. He has been launching a wave of job cuts and studio closings company-wide and consolidating their businesses into China to better compete with Tencent and MiHoYo. This sucks in a lot of ways. This does have geopolitical consequences, geopolitical elements to it, conversation pieces. This is beyond just that of tariffs. This is simply put taking a team out of a place where it's very expensive to make games, cost of living, etc., and consolidating it to a place where it's far more worth it. I'm not advocating a position there. I'm speaking to the business aspect that they were citing. Logan, a lot of stuff to digest in that. What were your takes?
It's clear to me that they are doing what everyone else is doing. The real killer here is that it just continues to show that the industry grew too quickly and too fast in the time from 2020 to now, that a more kind of, I don't know, conservative approach would have been prudent, because we are now seeing that as a result of the boon that happened as a result of 2020 and COVID, when anyone and everyone was buying video games. And I don't know if we're going to be getting into PlayStation console sales at all this week, but it's clear a lot of people are playing video games. Not a lot of people are buying video games, but because of that, companies, publishers grew, and there was lots of acquisitions. Remember when we were seeing Embracer Group and NetEase like scooping up studios like crazy? And we was like, this is a little concerning. Like, should one publisher have this many studios? Like, that's a lot of IP that you're just buying right now. And these projects are not going to come to fruition for at least a good 4 or 5 years. Like, are you sure you want to be buying up all this? And now we're seeing like, yeah, they shouldn't have done that. They should have like left these studios alone. The fact that they are letting go of the 6 people in America seems very odd. This is a Marvel IP, which to me says that they need to have folks who are working in a time zone. And shout out to Bellular, who you know pretty much covers Blizzard news in World of Warcraft back in the day. I used to watch his videos all the time for World of Warcraft stuff. He commented on a video about how, you know, working with Marvel, working with Disney during their work hours is exceptionally important for something like Marvel Rivals with how popular it is. And honestly, kind of concerns me that there isn't someone that, or there isn't enough communication between Disney and Marvel with NetEase to have the studio like reach deep into some of the pantheon of comics to pull out some really good like costume ideas for characters or styles that come from, you know, like deep cuts that we see Marvel do with a lot of their shows, with a lot of their movies, because they have like the full catalog available to them. And we've seen that with some of the characters come out. Fantastic Four just had a Sue Storm with one of her skins be from like a deep cut in the comics that I never knew about. I never had any clue about that. But when I saw it, I just thought it was a costume that they put in there because it would sell well. And then people are like, no, this is actually not only more conservative than what it was in the comics, but it's actually a really deep cut. And I kind of worry that that might get lost if you don't have like good communication with Marvel. So I hate that they decided that they were going to do these layoffs. It makes me wonder if, because of our economy in the USA, that we are starting to run into this problem where it is going to cost more to hire American developers than it would if you were to go somewhere else where the economy isn't hurting as bad. But I'm not a fan. I mean, it sucks. There was a very good point where I just recently had to switch from one company to another. It was through a buyout, and I'm honestly kind of glad that the company that I was working for sold our company to another company, as opposed to just getting out of the business entirely and killing, you know, laying off, you know, 1,000 employees. Would have really been a real shame, because it would have disrupted my life. And I can't imagine what the you know, even if it's 6 people, that's 6 people in a very crowded market that have to now try and find pretty high level positions in companies to be able to continue that. And there's only so much that like kind of protection through the government will actually help supply for only so long. There's still a lot of unemployed game developers out there. And if your whole job, your whole life has been dedicated to making games, that is a very niche kind of like trade or like a knowledge base. Like that doesn't translate well to, you know, going in and working retail. Like it's a completely different market. So something like that it's just a shame to see. I hope that they don't do I hope that they're able to get like some jobs coming up in the future, and that some other studios will be able to help pick them up, because they obviously did the right thing by, you know, just sheer popularity of Marvel Rivals.
I think there's a lot of contributing factors to why Rivals is successful, and they run the gambit of very surface level, making attractive looking characters, to very surface level elements of, it's a Marvel IP, but it's also a very deep element. Like there's a lot of gameplay benefits. There's a lot of map design. There's a lot of other elements, a swath of characters and styles to choose from. So there's a lot that went into making Rivals successful. I think what makes sense to me on a geopolitical, socioeconomic scale is consolidation of your workforce into cheaper realms. The part that sucks about that is, one, it's at the cost of human well-being. It's at the cost of the betterment of people involved in creating and making a game. And if Rivals is to have 20 million players and be generating this amount of content and thus revenue, it's an absolute shame that people can't keep jobs within it. And that stinks, because the message is somewhat convoluted when you look at like, well, only 6 people lost their jobs. Yep, that's true. That only 6 is not bad by comparison to industry standards. But you're making that much money. There wasn't a way. There wasn't a possibility. The other element I consistently go back to is like we saw remote work be so successful. I wonder what the rules are for keeping talent hired in certain places when they don't have to go into a studio. And I don't know, but it does suck that a game can be super successful and see job cuts. This is not a like obviously NetEase is a Chinese company. A lot of connotations come with that, but this is not unique to that. We've seen Activision, we've seen Xbox, we've seen PlayStation, we've seen EA and Ubisoft and Blizzard and every major name that you can think of on the publisher and developer side make job cuts in the last 3 years. So this is a full industry contraction. And I keep seeing people say like, oh, the industry's cooked. Maybe, but no. Maybe, but no. And that brings in our second topic, but like I don't want to get there just yet. I want to stay with black hole games.
Yeah, I feel like I think we're seeing, and to tie it into black hole games, we're seeing a huge dearth of what used to be like AA games. Like indies seem to come and go. Like there seemed to be no shortage of indie games out there, but the AA games, or like triple B, or whatever you want to call them, the games that are higher quality from studios who are not quite as like touted as like a Call of Duty franchise or like a Playground Games or Coalition or something like that. They're the smaller studios that are maybe the B teams at a bigger studio that are working on projects that are going to be really good, but for whatever reason, they're just not going to be like the pillar of the ecosystem, like a Halo or a Gears or something like that. And we've been seeing less and less of those. And it's just a shame, because I think that's where I find a lot of the kind of innovation and like South of Midnight and Banishers. I go to Mortals of Avium. These are all titles, Hellblade. They're all titles that experiment with things that are not the norm, but still have enough familiarity with like what we're used to still be engaging, that are going by the wayside, because a lot of people don't know that those games are actually really good games, because they're not advertised as well. They're not as pillar franchises as we've had. And people would rather stick to the games that they're comfortable with than risk having to spend money on something that they're not sure is going to be good for them.
I want to read some of these comments that we got from our listeners here. I'm going to go back a little bit. First, Todd Oxter saying that my Switch was my spite purchase. It wasn't at the time. At the time, it was so that I could play Ultimate Alliance 3.
Which hasn't gotten ported yet.
So I actually, real talk,
really weird.
I started playing Ultimate Alliance 1 on Series X last night, because I was able to buy it before it got delisted. So let's see. Let's go to, this is Todd Oxter again saying, I'm curious how involved Marvel Games is in Rivals. And that kind of echoes a sentiment from Ray Oid, one of our channel members. Thank you for being a channel member and supporting. He says, makes me wonder how much of a cut Disney is taking from NetEase. I wonder the same. Like Disney often to a lot of people stands for like purity and goodness, but no, like look into that company and you're like, oh, that's a very much a surface level thing. Yeah, very cutthroat. That's a great word for it. And so I genuinely do wonder how involved they are also, because that's brutal. Cheeseworks brings up, I think, a very good point, but it's hard to say, and it brings about some weird feelings here. Cheeseworks says, as a consumer, why should I care if developers are cut? I understand empathy, but the conversation is play out to me. So this is a great question, because on the surface, like I don't know who's involved with the CGI and the companies for the movies that I make, and I don't know if the movies that I watch rather. I don't know what movements are being made in that industry, and why should I care if my show or movie is good? And I think there is a place for that argument, but to his also, and I'm not going to like throw him under the bus. He says he understands the empathy aspect, but should we care as the consumer? And I see this a lot, this hypocrisy of pretending to care. People will die hard in America, die hard liberal, die hard conservative, and they'll do it from their iPhone, or they'll do it with a Starbucks cup in their hand or whatever it is. And it's like, where's your line? Everyone has a line, right?
Yeah.
So should consumers care if developers are being cut, if the game they want is being made?
It goes to a much broader question, because and I'm going to take Games of Thrones as an example. Game of Thrones was written based on books, and a lot of the books were already out. So the content was already there. Like, you had really good writers, you had really good actors, stuff like that. Or even Witcher. Witcher would be a good example here, where the Witcher show was good for the first 2 seasons. The 3rd season kind of paned because the writers and the creative directors wanted to veer too far from the source material. And as a result, the lead actor for Witcher, Henry Cavill, decided to pull away from the project for reasons, and the show suffered as a result. So when you start taking people away, if those people are kind of instrumental in some of the choices that get made at a creative level, or even just at a level where it plays to a particular audience that appreciates that, then you're going to run into a situation where that content is going to suffer. So these cuts could be people that are from an
Your
area
cats are
where
bad.
this is Fern. This is what she does. She wants love and attention, and I forgot to close my door. So say hi, Fern. You're getting all the attention now. So pretty much what's going on is, if these 6 people were the people that were really making an impactful choice on what was cool about the characters coming to Marvel Rivals, if they were the ones that were picking, like, okay, we should do this character next because people love this character and it's going to sell well and it's going to be really cool, then those people are no longer in those positions. We're going to suffer as consumers as a result, especially with the studio. So when you start to let go of some of the people that could potentially have been the keystone, then that whole archway is going to fall. And as a result, as consumers, we should care to make sure that people who are in the right positions for the right reasons continue to stay there. Even if it costs a little bit more, it's good to have those infrastructure points in there to make sure that the product overall is better for us. Because otherwise, Marvel Rivals is going to suffer in the next year. And as a result, everyone's going to drop off it, and everyone's going to be like, what the hell happened to Overwatch? It used to be so good. And it's because certain people got left.
That is exactly, I fully agree with you. And I love your logic. And I think that echoes the sentiment of the Baldur's Gate developer. Once he was able to speak at a Game Awards, and he wasn't like shoehorned off the stage, when he was able to speak, he largely talked about that. When you keep and develop your talent and let them mold themselves and grow, then they're able to make a better product for you that is more long lasting. When you see job cuts take place en masse, it's so that the next quarter profits can be shown and numbers can be shown. It's a very short-term solution. The reason it's effective is because those that are making those decisions have parachutes to get out once the model collapses, once the archway collapses. So you can make a bigger comment on capitalism or the idea that, like, I believe it, I know it's in the US, I don't know about everywhere else, but if you have shareholders, you are legally obligated to try to make them more money every quarter, every fiscal year. And what that means is, if you're not looking in a good trajectory or something's not working out, as often happens when you're creating art that sells, you make cuts in order to make those numbers, make those margins. And so that can be a bigger shame, because it's not enough in a shareholder world to make lots of money. You have to make the most money. And that's a bummer. That is a bummer.
Yeah, and because the line always has to go up, the stock market always, or the stock prices always have to show positive. You always run into the situation where they are going to look, especially towards the end of a quarter, where can we make quick cuts to show that there is a positive growth in their investments. And I hate that, because it's always at the expense of the people that are doing those jobs. It's never anyone towards the top making those calls. It seems like it's always safer at the top than it is at the bottom. And it's one of those things, like, if I had a successful game in Marvel Rivals and I managed to break into the games as a service model for free to play games, I feel like I would keep every single person there. In fact, I would probably try to divest more people to making sure that content, that flow was good. We saw it with Fortnite. When Fortnite pivoted from their Save the World game to the Battle Royale genre, they saw success. And they saw so much success that they were like, we need to double down on this. Like we pivoted, we succeeded, and now we need to double down. Letting go of 6 people may not sound like a lot, but it is 100% your world when it is you.
Correct. Well said.
That is one of those situations where I even though it may not feel like it's major, and it may not impact the consumer, and most consumers won't care about. It's a good thing to at least talk about, just on the, even just to kind of mention, like, hey, this is still an issue that happens in the industry, where games that are successful can still find they are shoring people up for what could 6 people's income in a studio in America do to a company that's earning billions of dollars. Like, was 6 people really enough to really show growth? It seems odd.
It's fair. No, you're making very good points. I wonder about a lot of it, and I think that brings us to our next topic, which would be AI and how it invests with people. But I want to hold off for just a moment to talk once more about those black hole games, because Call of Duty is another one of the black hole games. Yeah. We've seen that ebb and flow since Black Ops 6 had a major splash when it entered the market, sold really well, upped Game Pass subscriptions, people getting invested to it. Season 1 was solid from my understanding. Season 2 had a mixed reception. However, they just hit their 2.5, which is their mid-season. They call it Reloaded every time. I actually bought the Battle Pass this morning.
Nice.
And I had COD points left over from previous games. I bought the TMNT Leonardo because they're doing a TMNT crossover event. And I bring that up not just because I'm Luke Lohr and I love TMNT, which I absolutely do, full on. This is relevant because a lot of people spotlighted the cost of each turtle. It's a $20 package per turtle when you get a tracer pack and such. And they also spotlighted that it's going to have a free battle pass, a free limited time event pass, and a paid timed event pass. The paid one, of course, could raise your cost there. So to get all the TMNT stuff, you're looking at around $100, give or take, because each turtle is about $20. And then within that stuff, these new maps, they were teasing a new Tony Hawk game. And so there was a lot that happened in this one Season 2 Reloaded event, 2.5, that really brought a lot of attention to Call of Duty that I thought was interesting. I jumped in earlier this week. The servers were a mess. David Burdett, who is the authority on Call of Duty in our community, said that the servers have been a mess. And when I jumped in this morning, it felt a little bit cleaner, more efficient. So hopefully they're working that out. Lots of stuff to break down. And that's why I bring it up. It's not just a TMNT thing. A lot of attention went to Call of Duty this week, for better or worse. TMNT, Tony Hawk tease, cost. Where do you want to start?
Let's talk about cost, because I think I kind of get a little frustrated when this, because I saw I don't know why I went over to X. I went over to X.
Yeah, I'm off there.
Yeah, well, I'm still seeing some developers over at Rare who are active over there, and that's like the only place that they're engaging on the content. So it's like now that they're being more talkative, because they're actually like putting some effort into trying like address some of the concerns of the community socially. I'm kind of back like trying to do stuff over there. And Charlie Intel is one of the tweet accounts that I follow on a regular basis on both Blue Sky and X, because they are generally the ones that have like the up-to-date news with a lot of like Call of Duty stuff. And going through the comments, so many people wanted to compare what TMNT skins in Fortnite cost and offered in comparison to Call of Duty. And I feel like there's like a misnomer here, because looking at like what you get for both, I feel like the content was on par, and that TMNT was like if it was like Lego skins in Worlds, or it was the weapons that you could use for meleeing, for breaking down things like that, it felt like there was a fair amount of parity. Because while Call of Duty has like blueprints for weapons, they still have sprays, they still have emblems and calling cards, emotes and finishers. Yeah, they still have like a fair amount of content. So I was looking at like what they were offering versus what Fortnite used to offer, and I was like, the cost parity is there. The cost overall is really high. Like $20 for all of for one bundle. And full disclosure, I bought like a bunch of COD points off of CD keys. So I had enough to get Donatello, because that's my turtle. And looking at the cost, I was like, this, if you wanted to get all of them, then yeah, that's going to cost a lot. And yes, they do have the like event pass, which is going to offer the free tier, which offers you like 2 different Foot Clan members. But if you want Splinter, you're going to have to spend the $20 to get Splinter, which to me is a little bit different than just offering Splinter in the store. This is one where it's like you have to actually work to get Splinter, which I'm not too big a fan of. I think that's one thing that I was like, if I wanted to, I probably should have. If I was in charge, I probably would have Splinter offered as a bundle in the store. And that way, if people didn't want to spend the $20 to get the bonus pass for the event and then have to play through that, then they wouldn't have to. But they're going about engagement in different ways. They're obfuscating like certain costs for playtime. And if there's a place where I can get either just buy it outright or pay a little bit less and play through the content, I would like to have both options. But at the same time, they can't make that kind of call. They can't develop that kind of way. They have to try and like decide like what is going on with how much content they can put in store versus like in passes and stuff like that. So that plus Fortnite, I see Fortnite do the same thing. I see other studios like Halo does the same thing. Destiny was, I think, the one that even started the damn thing, where they started offering event cards and making you pay for cosmetics in event cards in events that you don't get anything. Like you go to those events and you do them and you get a little checkbox off of your characters like milestones and stuff. But for all intents and purposes, if you want the content, you're gonna have to pay for the event card. So because it's Call of Duty, SEO is going to be really big on articles that are written about it. So I feel like I'm not seeing anything different from other studios who are doing they're pulling the exact same thing with content. Is it high? Yeah. Could you buy an indie game? Yeah. I think for the cost of like a AAA game, you could get all the turtles in Call of Duty, but it really does come back to this idea of like everyone's dumping all of their time into these black hole games, and no one is really trying to venture out too much to play other stuff, which is why I think I appreciate Game Pass for the sake of saying like, look, you've got your black hole games, but they were literally giving you Avowed this week to play if you own Game Pass, and saying like, look, you can get an 8 out of 10 game. Just have access to it. You don't have to beat it. You don't have to like buy it. It's there. And you can just enjoy it if you want to. You can be part of the zeitgeist if you want to. You can pull out of the Call of Duty hole that you're in, or the Fortnite hole that you're in, or the Rocket League hole that you're in, and actually jump into a game that has like a story with characters that you can play through, and action and adventure, and go explore and all that stuff in this fantasy world, and then eventually drop back in because of Game Pass.
Well, your points are well made. I think I'll echo the sentiment of the Call of Duty pricing to me is high, but it is no different than industry standard. I noticed this when I was doing Street Fighter 6. Because they had TMNT in there, but then I was like, whoa, wait, fighter bundles are this much? And that's a different kind of medium. It's a little different than how I'd seen it in Injustice and in Mortal Kombat. And Street Fighter 6 felt high. And then I started looking at these limited time events, and that is why they do it. They have these limited time events that you buy into because they want your time. That's the nature of a black hole game. When a game is young, you tend to get more value to dollar than later. Right now, Rivals is doing a limited time event, and they've done several where you can get skins for your characters. So like they had a Jeff the Shark skin. They had currently they have a Groot skin. They do these limited time events, but they also run them parallel to the standard battle pass. They run them parallel to purchasing new skins that are canonically interesting. Fortnite does this. Sea of Thieves has done this before with their liveries. And the way they do their plunder pass, like every live service game seems to do this. And that's how they compete for your time and keep you from playing your Avoweds, keep you from playing your Game Pass games. So to that end, it looks like that's why Xbox is doing what they do.
Yeah.
With they've got the live service element, Sea of Thieves, Call of Duty, so many others, but they also have stuff in Game Pass. And I will tell you, Avowed is, to me, far more worth your money than getting every Ninja Turtle in the game for Call of Duty and such. You should play Avowed. You should play those single player experiences. But it's also worth noting that if you can pay your subscription service or get these games on sale, you can do that too. I have built my Steam library. I'm still building my Steam library because of my Steam Deck. And I use Fanatical and Humble Bundle and CD keys and Steam sales. I don't think I've ever bought a game full price on my Steam Deck. I just won't.
That's
I won't
PC
do
mentality
it.
right there.
That's what mentality?
PC mentality. Like PC.
Is it?
PC mentality is you do not buy games full price. Like, there are sales all the time. And if there aren't sales all the time, there are key sites that will sell games for like, it is not scalper, but
they buy en masse, right?
Yeah,
that's how they do it. Okay,
they wait for sales. They go and get big bundles and get lots of keys and stuff like that, and then they just hang on to them. But like, for all intents and purposes, PC gamers do not want to buy games. In fact, I just redeemed. Oh gosh, what was it? I just redeemed something through Prime Gaming on Twitch. And I'm totally blanking on what it was. Oh, Wolfenstein Youngblood for PC and Xbox, free, because I have a free gift from Amazon because I have Prime. Now, granted, I'm paying for Prime, but I'm paying for Prime for different reasons because I like my shipping and I save more on shipping than I do for the actual Prime cost itself. But I've been claiming games from them. So yeah, the PC mentality is we do not buy games. We get games as much as possible. I have like 400 games in my library for all the different like game stores like GOG, Epic, Amazon, all like 400 games. Never paid for them. Never bought them specifically.
Todd Oxtra making a good point about these black hole games, that most games on Xbox didn't include Indiana Jones in the top 10 from January. He's right. And there were some interesting stats in Logan. If you go lower in our notes, you'll find a kind of a dual topic. It said Xbox sales charts in the US, and then it had Xbox hardware being the worst. Xbox sales charts in the US included 5 Xbox games and 5 EA games. The 5 Xbox games were Minecraft, Call of Duty, Forza Horizon 5 somehow made its resurgence into the top 10 best-selling games on Xbox platforms, despite being out since 2021 and being in Game Pass. And then Elder Scrolls Online was in there. And then the EA games were some sports titles. We're all sports titles. So
yeah,
interesting in that the top paid games of January didn't even include Indiana Jones, and Indiana Jones is only available on Xbox. And when I look at the games that are in the top 10, all of them are multiplayer, and the sports titles I would consider live service. I would also consider Call of Duty, Minecraft, and Elder Scrolls Online live service. And then you've got the same argument for Flight Sim and Forza Horizon elements. So like all of those are multiplayer, bring your money in kind of games. And so, that it comes down to me. And I say this when I ask for people's Patreon time. It's probably a good time to do that. When I ask for super chats to help us get to Summer Game Fest. I say this when I see creators that are working. I say this when I see studios that are working. You got to do what's right for you. Take care of your own finances. And if you've got the money, you support the content you enjoy. Movies, shows, podcasts, games, whatever it might be. Support it where you can. But you also have to take care of you. And that's the balance. It can't just be make a good product, expect to get money, expect to be successful, because Indiana Jones, incredibly successful in terms of quality, I should say. I'm sorry, incredibly high quality. Success is a metric that I'm not sure how to define. When you look at Marvel Rivals, incredibly successful, you lose your job. So there's an element. And so I will tell everybody, support the content you like. It's important.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a Patreon plug here. and then we'll roll over into our AI and link the two conversations if you don't mind.
Sounds good.
So we had 3 new patrons in the last 2 weeks. I neglected to mention one of them in last week's show, and so I apologize to Omen. Omen subscribed to our patreon.com/Xbox Expansion Pass, helping us get to Summer Game Fest, but also Jesse Martinez and Jesse Prius. So I've seen Patreon numbers fluctuate here and there over the last year because times are tough. And I am humbled whenever anyone takes the time or energy or monies to put towards getting us there. That includes super chats and YouTube memberships. Thank you to Jesse, and Omen for supporting us over on Patreon. And I am going to read our tier 2 and 3 shoutouts, which is just a little way we say thank you to anybody that's willing to put time in. YouTube channel members, your names are rolling below. But our tier 2 and 3 shoutouts at patreon.com/Xbox Expansion Pass include Omen, Jesse Martinez, Jesse Prius, Fatto, Aaron G, Nick Bentley, The Scarecrow, Ken Rosing, Fabian Winkler, Regis Stella the Brony Pirate, Rob Frawley II, Tal Zochi, Nicholas Johnson, Randall Thor 19, Hafrican, Game Positive, Jam Pack Sam, Rick Davis, Matt Valdez, Red Beast, Dano 12, DJ Hero, Brendan Myers, aka the Winter Gamer, the Lord Sir Master James Suddy, and of course, Sony's VP of Marketing, Kevin Butler. Thank you guys for supporting us over at patreon.com/Xbox Expansion Pass. We appreciate you, and I hope you enjoyed that new graphic. I updated it, cleaned it up just a smidgen. Thank you guys for helping us out. All right, Logan. AI. It's a big thing. Hey, there's James Suddy dropping in a super chat. Thank you so much, buddy. We appreciate you. $10 says supporting Logan. Come play Rivals. Logan, we really would love to have you, man.
Are you guys doing who like, because I've been playing Mantis a lot, lot, and also Invisible Woman. Invisible Woman is a really good healer. Like,
she's a great healer. She's
really
a great
strong,
healer.
really strong kit.
We each have characters that like are our mains if we do ranked, but Suddy doesn't play ranked with us, and Herman doesn't play ranked with us. But we have like probably 5 or 6 characters each that we each kind of rotate through. So it's never a problem if you have a favorite. We all just jump into a different one. So we love doing team ups.
I'll make a deal with you. There are cat-based calling cards through Warzone, and I really want to get these cat-based calling cards for COD. If we could do some Warzone where I could get some of these calling cards. I never think to actually sit down and do Warzone. If we could do some Warzone, I'll jump into some Rivals.
I'm in. Okay. Because I got my Leo, and I want to use my Leo skin. Yeah. And I did snag the battle pass because I had COD points. So I got the basic one. I didn't get Black Cell this time, but I'm down for that. If that'll get you to join us in some Rivals, I'll join you for some Warzone.
Okay.
I'm in. Let's go. So, and I bet you we can get Kev to play some Warzone as well. And I don't know if you know, Mr. Badbit's Fortnite got hacked.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. It sucks.
It does suck. Use your 2-factor authentication, everybody. We'll say that. And I do hate it for him. Like, genuinely, it sucks. Like, I'm not dunking on him. I will dunk on Joe for a lot of things, but that sucks. Nobody should have that happen to them.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, thank you, Suddy, for the $10 super chat. Thank you, Addy Zero, for the $2 super chat earlier in the show. You guys, it makes such a difference, and it really does help. Thank you, Jesse, and Omen for supporting us on Patreon. I appreciate you guys. All right. Logan, we've been talking about job losses. We've been talking about job cuts. We've been talking about making games and what elements come in. Microsoft revealed this past week that Muse AI, Muse AI is being used to help them with game development. Phil Spencer came out in a video for this one. I think you're going to pull that part up. To nutshell this for anybody who's unfamiliar with what this is a prompt input model, meaning like if you've got an image or you've got a video clip, you can highlight a portion of it and say, add this, change that. And the AI will read about 10 still frames, which is roughly a second of gameplay, and then use frame generation to bring in whatever it is you ask. And the example they showcased was a video clip from Bleeding Edge, the kind of failed live service title out of Ninja Theory. and they told it to, they highlighted a portion. They said, add a barrel. They added a barrel into the game, and it existed dynamically. So I read up about this a lot. I listened to smarter people than myself talk about this. People like Brad Sams discuss what it meant. And I found it interesting because this is an element that could, a tool set that could speed up development and let developers experiment with physics and with technologies in their game at a much faster pace and more cheaply. And it's also the first AI made, marketed, showed by Xbox proper. I love this technology. This is me talking. This is Luke. I love this technology. I think it's really cool that it can help them speed up with that experimentation, save time on development, try out new aspects of development. But I'm very cautious because it's a very slippery slope that will allow them to replace people, right? And that is the nature of all aspects. I see this happen in education where they're like, well, we need to teach this skill. Can we buy a program that teaches the kids this? And then put the kids on a program and tell them to click. That's not teaching. That's not teaching. And it's worried about test scores. It's not creativity. And so I love that this can speed up development because that is a great thing to do, but it's also very concerning. They also acknowledged, and I will stop talking in a moment, that what this could do, the Xbox is suggesting that this could really help them speed up with bringing older titles to modern markets, remakes, remasters, making older games playable on modern technology is the verbiage they've used. And I read this again, and I'm like, consistently, we have heard Phil Spencer and Sarah Bond talk about the creativity of the gaming industry, talk about the people involved and how much they enjoy the creativity of developers. They've stated this many, many times that it's a game first model versus a hardware first model. But when you're bringing AI in on a surface level, I don't feel like that's pushing creativity. I don't think that's bringing about creativity. So I feel like just like with their hardware, they're saying, hey, we want you to play Xbox, come buy Xbox. Like there's no reason to push the hardware. And then that hardware sales are down. Whoa, why? Baffled. I just don't know that this is a way to push developer creativity. But I'm a pleb, and I love remakes and remasters, and I want my older games available. I just bought a wired 360 controller so I can boot up my 360 to play some stuff. Maybe I'm wrong.
Okay, so I have a real weird issue with this because when he talks about how AI could help take old games and through enough sampling be able to recreate old games that could be played on newer hardware because older hardware will eventually fail. I have to sit here and wonder, like, okay, but like all you're doing is taking AI and you're telling it to play through a game, or you're giving it enough gameplay like information that you're going to be able to recreate a game based off of old games and then bring that. It just doesn't seem like it seems like you can, like, I don't know. We talk about how AI is dangerous when it comes to creatives because all it's doing is being fed tons and tons of data, and it's able to create content based off of that. Forget talking about like the economic, or not the economic, the ecological impacts of AI, and just focus on the idea that they are talking about supporting creatives. And yet here they are telling us that AI would be a faster way for them to take away the opportunity for creatives to go back, grab a game. Like there's whole support studios like Saber Interactive does whole game ports for games from older consoles to newer consoles, from one console to another console. Like there are studios out there willing to do this work. Like I don't understand why AI is the thing that we go to, because it's faster, but is it as thorough? Like it seems there's a difference between creative and iterative AI. Like when you're using creative AI, you're using it to create something based off of an entire like database of information that it pulled from somewhere else that was provided to it. When you're looking at iterative AI, you're looking at AI that is grown based off of the same thing over and over and over again, feeding it, giving it like more and more sampling to be able to create on that. They're talking about this in a way that will allow them to ideate, which, if I'm understanding the word correctly, means bringing ideas to realization quicker. Like if they have an idea, they want to iterate on it, they want to see how it would play test, they toss in the idea of what they want, AI generates it, they play through it, see if it's worth it, see if they like it. If it does, great. If not, then they move on to something else like that. I feel like there's some value to that. Like it takes less time to try and develop vertical slices of games to be able to play test to see like what would work, what won't work. But I just don't know if that's actually what's going to happen, because we've already seen like Call of Duty using AI generated art for their promotional work. When they did the Santa sleigh stuff. The main screen for the Santa sleigh event had the zombie Santa with 6 fingers, and it's like, did no one catch that? So I don't know, man. I agree, it's a slippery slope. I'm not too big a fan of them using ways to, or AI to try and like bring up old games. I think there are plenty of companies and stuff out there that can do this stuff on their own. And honestly, I think I'd rather they take the original code and redo some of the assets. Like remember Toys for Bob, lauded for being such an amazing studio. They brought back Diablo 2 and got that ported to PC and console with brand new graphics. And they had people going in and actually like looking at the old assets, the old work and stuff like that. It's like, are those teams going to be made superfluous because of AI? Because that would really suck. I would really hate for that.
Todd Ost, you mentioned Toys for Bob. This activated a question from Todd Oxtra. Said, with Tony Hawk 3 and 4 being teased, do you think this is a game Toys for Bob was hired to work on after they went independent? Should Xbox hire more indie studios to work on their back catalog of remasters and smaller remakes like Banjo or Crimson Skies? And tie that into what you're saying, AI could be used to make a lot of this stuff. One of the things I think is interesting about AI, people that discuss AI, they will condemn it, look down on it, be frustrated by it, but then they will use it themselves regularly for thumbnails, for work. I see so many teachers plug their lesson plan in and just get an AI one. And so that is interesting.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, come on.
I think there are places where AI works well. Places that it doesn't work well is when it comes to having creative artwork and stuff like that, having voice actors, like stuff like that. If I want AI to help do predictive text for me, I'm fine with that, because I'm gonna be typing it anyway. If I want AI to help a studio try and mess around with ideas to see if they can find the fun before they start full on developing a game, if that's what they want, yes. But the video that I had up on the screen there was an interview with Ninja Theory, who they had worked on the game that I'm now blanking on. What was the racing or the
You do see that you've brought the people to this COD Rivals joint venture here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you see, look at Kev's comment and Suddy's
trade
comment.
Was being executed for COD in exchange for Rivals, and I just want to note that I am 1,000% in. I'll even buy the Raph skin.
He's in. You've got, and Suddy also. I'm in for COD, Luke and Logan, but I'm bad at it. Logan, you've got a Warzone team now.
Okay,
we're here.
I mean, I want the calling cards. I'm not a huge fan of Warzone because I just like to go loot. I've discovered this with playing with A-Chick in survival games. I love to run around and loot stuff. That is like my favorite pastime now. But yeah, it's one of those things, and I think Adam O'Brien says it really good. AI is a hammer. It's a tool. A hammer can build a house or shatter glass. Yeah,
agreed.
There is very much like a level of where you want to use it. But Ninja Theory was even saying like they aren't going to use AI for any of their content, but they understand like the value that's there. And I think that it really just comes down to the wielder, who uses it for what reason. We've seen plenty of shovelware out in the games now that are all like using shovelware AI generated assets to create games quick because they can get some money from them, which sucks because it takes away from who actually built like a lot of that creative those creative assets and actually built that stuff. I think it's one of these things where Satya Nadella is kind of the head of Microsoft right now. He's the CEO of Microsoft, and he is the one that is all in on AI. And I think that just like with NFTs, this is one of those things that it's the buzzword for the time being. It's where things are going to go. They just announced quantum computing for some of their experiments with like technology and stuff. With quantum mechanics or quantum computing, AI will become less intensive or take as long as a result, as I understand it. I could be wrong on that one too, but I don't want creatives to lose their jobs because there's something inherent about the human experience being translated into art. Art imitates life. You start taking that away from art and you start basing it off of responses to samplings of life, and you lose a lot of what I think is interesting about games, which is the unique aspects of it. Carrie Patel talked about how there wasn't romancing because romancing is so intrinsic with most Western RPGs when it comes to Avowed that everyone was kind of wondering, like, how come there isn't romancing options in Avowed? And it's because we expect it. Had this been an AI generated aspect of the game, chances are they may have gotten it into the game, but it may not have been that good. It may not have been worth it. And having her talk about how they chose not to focus on that because it would have derailed or like an aspect of what they wanted for the game. I don't think you can have someone trust that AI would understand that. But I don't know if we're there yet.
Two comments I want to spotlight here. First one, Todd Oxer saying AI for grunt work that doesn't involve gameplay, story, voice acting, art is fine. Have them work on bug testing, optimization, and smaller install sizes. That's a great call out. I'm interested to hear how that plays versus like QA unions and such. I'll plug right now. I don't think I actually said it. I'll be hosting an interview with Jason Schreier this week coming up. This Thursday, it's live at 4:00 on Thursday, 4:00 Eastern. He works a lot in discussing unions. In talking to him, I wonder how he would feel about AI used for stuff like this, because he talks a lot with unions and the QA groups and such. I also want to call out Hometown Heroes comment, and then I'll take your comments on it. Ninja Theory game you're thinking of is Bleeding Edge.
Oh, Bleeding Edge, yeah.
Yep. Bleeding Edge is interesting to me that it was used on Bleeding Edge because that is a failed project. It wasn't unfun, but it just lacked. It was
a AA game. Got lost in the mix.
I vividly remember being at E3 2019 and like people were like, you want to play the new Xbox game? It's Bleeding Edge, Ninja Theory. We were like, no. And what was fascinating, actually, there's a lot of echoes of Concord in it. But the reason I mention it is this project found use several years later in technology development for future projects. So not a wasted endeavor, I think is what I'm pointing out. Bleeding Edge was not wasted. But I just wanted to, I don't know what my thesis is other than they found a use for it.
Yeah. I wanted to go back to the Toys for Bob discussion because we know that Toys for Bob did break away from Blizzard and Activision to kind of be on their own, and that they were contracted to work with Xbox for a project. I do anticipate that this is the Tony Hawk 3 and 4 remake, because that was in some of the latest map for Call of Duty. They had what was it, 3/4/2025, and that was the idea was that we would probably hear more about Tony Hawk in the skate shop on March 4th, 2025, potentially, and that it would also be the tease for the 3 and 4, which I think is really cool because Tony Hawk 1 and 2 remake was kind of touted as like a good way to do a remake. And as much as I hate when all we're getting is nothing but remasters and remakes in a time when we are getting games like Avowed and Indiana Jones.
Right.
But all people want to do is go back to that comfort food. I'm glad that they are looking to bring this forward. There's plenty of ways to kind of like look at this, but I do know that a lot of Tony Hawk fans are going to be excited to go back and jump into this if it looks and plays better than the original ones. But kind of a cool way to tease like a game coming into it. You know, like if you weren't playing Call of Duty or you weren't paying attention to that, chances are this would go by the wayside, and little kind of like a hidden Easter egg would have gone unnoticed. But thankfully, there's tons of internet sleuths out there that kind of brought this all out.
Ray Oid's comment pointing out Iron Galaxy is listing this on their website as a teaser for 3/4/25 as well.
Interesting.
Nice to see Iron Galaxy, of course. And credit to Ray. He brought this up earlier in chat. I just forgot to start it. Iron Galaxy, who made Killer Instinct and was facing a lot of job cuts, their name being here can only be a good thing. I'm not saying that this is saving them or anything like that, but it gets their name out there attached to a big project on some level. And that's good, right? That's good. Clobriel has a link to it, says Ray. Yep, Clobriel, a good source of info and such. Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake came out in 2020. And I feel like this is the right amount of time between those types of projects, because I feel like they've consistently in years past tried to bring back Tony Hawk so often that it lost its luster. And so a 5-year window, I think is great. I hope this does well. I understand. No, let me rephrase that. I have heard that it's going to be the one that kind of launches this summer, you know? And that might change on account of this being leaked so prominently. Because for anyone that doesn't know, like when I say leak, absolutely leaked, because not only did this teaser show up, one of the skaters that is in it,
Tony Hawk,
not Tony Hawk himself, but somebody else said, I'm in a Tony Hawk game that they remade. And it's coming out.
So like, add on to that, I think it was Charlie Intel who did the tweet about it over on X. Tony Hawk's account underneath of that did the little like eyes emoji.
Oh, okay. So there you
Xbox.
Go. Okay. So, if this was going to be your Ninja Gaiden 2 or your Hi-Fi Rush at the summer, it may not be anymore. Side note about Ninja Gaiden. I put for new channel members, I put a bunch of Ninja Gaiden and South of Midnight and Doom and Indie emotes in for channel members. I thought that was fun. It just made me think of it. They're cool. Yeah. But yeah, if it was going to be that, I don't think it is anymore, but I'm still happy. Like, this is a great thing. I love them rekindling IP and bringing it back. It would be cool, I think, if they put out this 3 and 4 and then they say, we did use Muse to do this little thing. Because it's probably too late in the project to do anything big. But if they mention it, that'd be interesting. Hey, Nisa using that Avowed emote. I love it.
I'd be interested to see like what studios come out and say like, hey, this is okay. So if they want to sell me on AI, here's the great way to do it. Show the creative process, show a documentary, like have them document like, here's what we're doing for the next Gears game. And here's how we're using Muse based on a team that was working, like do a side-by-side comparison. Microsoft want to sell me on AI, fund a studio to do 2 development forks. Like one development group is working on a vertical slice of playing through the game this way. Have another team work on developing it through Muse. See who gets to the finish line first and has a better play experience. Do A/B testing on this and actually see like, is AI as good as they're hoping it wants to be? And if it is, then you sell me on AI. But otherwise, I'm not really seeing it. All in all, I think going back to the Tony Hawk Pro Skater thing, I think this is interesting that it's coming in from Call of Duty, which to me just kind of says like there's going to be a partnership with, if there is like the 3-4 launch, the remake, I'm fully anticipating Birdman being in Call of Duty as a skin. And I mean, they're bringing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, very popular back in the day, like for skating and stuff like that. Skateboards were like featured as a TMNT thing in a lot of like the comics as well as the movies and stuff. So would not be surprising if Call of Duty decided to have like Tony Hawk as like one of their next skins for one of their operators, or just an operator in general.
The way to get me to play Tony Hawk 3 and 4, or any Tony Hawk anything, would be IP. Put the turtles in there. Like, you're laughing, but that was done to a skating game a few years ago. I just didn't know about it at the time. I think it was.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
But that's the name of the game now. Like, I know the joke is always that Luke loves IP, and you're right, but like that's the trend that proves it's like that. It's needed. It's there when people do cross promotion stuff. So yeah, that'd be dope. Like, I think that'd be cool if that was the case.
Yeah.
So you have a question from Adam O'Brien.
So, if AI can help make crunch less of a thing, why would you be against that? Because crunch doesn't happen because of them needing to crunch happens because of bad management, not because they're trying to get a game developed within a certain amount of time. There's no timeline on when games are made. There are financial things, but if you have a good project manager, you have a good game director, and you have a strong enough pitch for the publisher, then a studio should be able to take 10 years to make Grand Theft Auto 6. And you shouldn't need to crunch.
Make no mistake, like, when I see companies pull out of US and certain places where regulatory laws demand more rights for workers and take them to places where there are less rights for workers, crunch is happening there in prominence, and that is just the reality. I am not saying it's a good thing. In fact, I'd argue it's a terrible thing for those people, but that's what's happening. That is the problem. That's the other side of the coin that comes into play when you have things like unions pushing for workers' rights. I am for that, mind you. I don't want to see people crunching to death and hating their lives in order to get me a new Spider-Man skin. I don't like that. But crunch does tend to happen because of poor management and an over demand to capitalize, and it punishes the little guy, and it only benefits the big one. It sucks, but I do feel like that's one of the contributing factors for why we see some companies exiting certain places. It's a complex thing, and like, I am not qualified to talk in depth past a certain point, but I do think that's what's going on. We had a question that kind of related to this, and I can't remember where it was. I know that
is that in Discord?
We did have one in Discord from Chipotle Bear that I'm pulling up now, and I'm going to put this one into here. So this question comes from Chipotle Bear of the Nerd Chat. It says, currently at a school conference my school is hosting, and it got me thinking, are there any potential use cases of AI that you all are excited and hopeful for in the gaming world? NPC interactions, dynamic bosses, environment building. I love the idea of environment building and cosmetics as ideas, but then I worry about artists involved, and that could be very detrimental. So like, I am always nervous about what I think it's great, what I just don't know,
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like, I see the argument for why you could use AI to make things easier, but that is going to come at a cost, and that cost is going to be in the industry. We saw the same thing when animatronics or like a 2D or like not 2D animators, stop motion animators were concerned when CGI was becoming more prominent, and CGI was going to kill off a lot of the stop motion animators. And to be perfectly honest, it did. A lot of the stop motion industry in movies were replaced with CGI animators, but that opened up a different industry. So while I see like where the industry is shifting to AI, there will still be jobs that have to develop these AI systems. So it's going to be a different skill set, but the jobs will still be there. It's up to the people that are making games to have to try and make that shift. But there's just something that just does not inherently feel right about AI at this point. I don't like the idea that there are tools out there that are removing jobs that could be done. Now, could it be done faster? Yeah. But at the same time, I also think that there's too many studios out there. I think that there are just too many games. Like, we are not in trouble of running out of games anytime in the future. And to be honest, the industry has grown too much to the point where we are saying really good games. Like, if the game isn't a 9 or a 10, most people aren't going to play it. That's bad. That's really, really bad for the industry. It means there's too many games. And go back to the black hole thing. It's like, yeah. So if you can make a game faster, if you can make the game quicker, that just means that there's going to be more games, which means you're going to have more failed projects out there because people aren't going to be spending money on stuff that was developed faster. It doesn't make the game better. It just means it was developed faster. So we still run into the same problem where games are not getting bought. Companies are having to close and shutter. Layoffs are happening because even successful games are losing right now.
Mm-hmm. Your point is well taken. I don't know that I don't know. Like, the idea of there's too many games. Like, I don't want games to stop being made, but I'm not losing your point either.
Yeah.
It's just one of those like, huh.
But I mean,
I do run into a thing where I want my old games more available. It's always licensed stuff though.
But see, that's the thing is like everyone will grow with gaming, and everyone will find the games that were the impactful ones for them, and they'll want to hang on to those. Mm-hmm. And new games will become farther and farther away from what they want to play because they're comfortable with what they have. Mm-hmm. There's outliers, there's exceptions, obviously, with this, but I don't see how making more games quicker is going to improve the quality of the game. That has yet to be proven to me.
Fair point. That's a good point. I like the way you said that. All right, let's see here. Nissa, I want Piglet's Big Game digital. Nissa. Cool. I know nothing about that. Let's see. I wanted to talk briefly before we bow out here. Avowed's Metacritic and OpenCritic. We're about a week removed from reviews and then its full launch. Avowed's Metacritic stands at 80, OpenCritic 81. I saw user scores trending from 6s to 9s. I love that this game is out. I love that people are playing it. I hope people check out our spoiler cast on it and the review on it. But it looks like Avowed is a good game, and people are agreeing that it's a good game. Some say it's a great game. I would say it's a great game.
I would say it's a great game. I constantly am like, there's this intrusive thought in the back of my mind that's like, hey, you should go back and try through as like a mage build. Mm-hmm. Or like, oh, you should go and try through as like a warrior build. Mm-hmm. There's so many times where I keep thinking like, I kind of want to go back and play through that opening zone as like one of the other builds and stuff like that. And I had the same thing when I was playing through Outer Worlds, man. I got done with Outer Worlds and I was like, I still kind of want a little bit more of the Outer Worlds. And I was like, maybe I should go back as a different build and just play through it again, or make some different choices, because that's one of the nice things about Outer Worlds is that they have multiple like ways to go about doing choices in the game that have like large impacts. And I kind of want to do that with Avowed, but at the same time, I'm looking at like Flintlock. Still haven't played Flintlock. Still need to go back and finish Indiana Jones. And here I am talking about jumping into Warzone and more black hole games and stuff. And I'm like, I still need to finish Indiana Jones. I need to get out of the desert because I need to get to the jungle because I really need something with some color.
Hey, games aren't work. You got to play where you enjoy it, man. So, find the fun.
But to our point, like, what's the point of having all these great games if I don't jump into them?
It's true. But if you're having fun in COD, stay in COD.
Yeah. Well, I'm having fun in Sea of Thieves and Grounded right now. Like,
do you want to mention Season 15?
Real quickly, Season 15 for Sea of Thieves, they just came out with their latest season. They're staggering the content from coming out. So they just released 2 new Megalodons, and they expanded the Hunter's Call, which is one of the factions in there for like hunting and fishing and stuff like that. Stability has gotten significantly better this season. The game feels a lot smoother. The latency is definitely lower. There's still some stuttering in there, but for all intents and purposes, the content right now is fun in Sea of Thieves. The issue that I have is that cheaters, much like how you guys notice server stability or like cheaters in Call of Duty where I don't, I notice cheaters in hackers in Sea of Thieves on almost a nightly basis, which is extremely frustrating to run into a crew that's like, that's very sus. That's very sus.
Mm-hmm.
But all intents and purposes, they're working hard to get Sea of Thieves into a better place. That's about it. So happy to be jumping into that. I'm going to be doing the Gold Hoarder episode today to talk to them about the new Megalodons and how hard they are and how they almost destroyed you. It's like a proper threat now. Like it's like an actual proper threat.
What color are they?
There's Big Red, which is the red maw, and then there's the Barnacle Dread, which is Barney. The Barnacle Dread has a like coral encrusted outer shell that you have to destroy, and it's lightning based, so it spawns ocean crawlers on your ship that then distract you. Red maw is got fire. When he chomps you, your whole ship gets engulfed in flame, and it has an explosion that will kind of heat up. So if it gets too riled up, it will do an explosion that will destroy your ship, and that really sucks.
You told Joe about this? Because like we might get back on the seas. Whew.
No, I mean it's good. It's good content. It's just like, you get to Hunter's Call rank 5 in the emissary. You can start seeing them on the map. You sail around. They're like emergent threats that are around all the time. They're really good fights. They're hard. They're hard fights. I think Chick and I.
Joe about this.
Yeah, Joe and I not Joe. Chick and I ran into Red Maw, and we didn't stock up, and we were down to like our last few planks before we finally killed it, and it was like, it was hard, but it was fun.
Oh, that sounds fun.
A lot of sauce on this, a lot of spice on the seas right now too.
You got to have a pet pig. I feel like Nissa needs to know that.
Yeah. So Chick and I, we both bought pigs, different colored pigs. She named hers Oscar. I named mine Meyer. We're looking for a third who wants to go with bologna. So, or pork chop. It's really nice. It's good stuff.
I got nothing.
Oscar and Meyer. Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Too easy. Let's see here. I think that wraps us up for today. Oh, I started playing Need for Speed Heat. I got it for $3 back when it was on super sale. Nice little callback to Need for Speed Underground. I don't know why. I just was like, I have that empty feeling after Avowed. And so I was like, what do I want to play? And I can't figure out what I want to play. And so Need for Speed Heat became it. And I'm like, oh, this is fun. So if you guys see that on super sale and you like Need for Speed Underground, it's just a modern Underground.
Also to feed into Luke's fandoms, if you want the Steam version of the Batman Arkham collection, you can go to Newegg and get them for like $7.
They're so good, guys. They're so good. Hey, and you want me to here's a nobody listens to us for leaks. Basically, like Rocksteady is making a new Batman game, and it's really far out. That's publicized, right? PlayStation wants it. That's something I do know. PlayStation really wants it. They really want it, and the Rocksteady's pushing back on that.
That's good because they need the money.
Yeah, they're pushing back.
Squad, they need the money.
They do. Also, somebody way back in our chat said they want an open world TMNT game. I don't think you're gonna get that, but that Ronin game. That Ronin game's on its way.
Yeah.
Early stuff that I saw looked good.
Yeah. We'll see. I'll toss out my little insider thing. Avowed was said to have come from roots of wanting to be a multiplayer at the beginning of development. There was a point back in 2018 when Obsidian employees went and got to play test the beta and alphas of Sea of Thieves to make sure that what they were developing, which we found out is Avowed, wouldn't be the exact same thing that Rare was developing, which was Sea of Thieves.
Well, now that's cool. That's a cool little bit of insider knowledge. I like that.
Yeah. So the ideas of like Avowed being a multiplayer game, there's a reason why the overhealth is very similar to Sea of Thieves' overhealth, which was significantly came later on. Like Sea of Thieves did it first, but Avowed definitely adopted that overhealth option.
I see Sea of Thieves DNA when I play Avowed. The platforming and some of the color palette, I see that DNA. I know it's not one-to-one, but like I see it.
The devs definitely played each other's games during development, and definitely use it.
Eat your heart out, Special Nick. Nobody writes articles on what we say, but it'd be cool. We do have insider stuff. We should start leaking things and get clapped. No,
I'm not going to leak anything.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything that I leak is all old news compared
to same. Here's your old stuff. Here's your old stuff.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, what up, Special Nick, who I really enjoy and wish I could have you on the show, but you're asleep during this time. All right, Logan, I feel like that's it, man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you said you're doing your Gold Hoarder episode. Anything else we need to know?
No, just been trying to do more streaming. A-Chick and I have been trying to do Sea Thieves. There's Twitch drops right now for Sea Thieves, which I actually kind of like the Sea Thieves Twitch drops right now. Plus, they give you a Gilded Voyage. So you watch an hour, you get a Gilded Voyage for Gold Hoarder. A lot of gold. So if you like Sea Thieves, that's pretty much where I am. Just keep an eye out for that content coming. Otherwise, I don't think I have anything coming up that I can talk about for XEP. There is stuff that is coming up, but yeah, we'll have to wait on embargoes for that kind of stuff. But
yeah,
yeah, you just hit me up about it too, because you're just commenting.
There you go. Yeah. That might clash with our community episode, so we need to pay attention to that. Yep. Okay. Let's see. Publicly, I could say I'm interviewing Jason Schreier this Thursday, which I'm very excited about. I did put it up early on the site, so if you have questions for him, and you don't want to super chat them during the interview, put them in the comment section of that video now, and I can see them at least, so I can ask him your questions. But I'm excited about that one because Schreier is definitely a tentpole lightning rod. You know what I mean? Like people have opinions. I know I have opinions. I've enjoyed his coverage. I've been frustrated by his coverage, and I think it was very kind of him to agree to come on. He also helped me through part of I was stuck on a collectible in Avowed during the review process. He helped me out with that. So I've had good interactions of late, and I'm appreciative that he's willing to come on. And just we need more journalists, and he is a journalist through and through. So
yeah, I gave you my questions. I have one more that I wanted to ask him. That I'll DM you. So as long as you got those, I'm good.
Okay, cool deal, man. All right, that is going to be it for us this week. Please support the creators that you enjoy. Click the like button. Share this out to whomever you are able. That is going to be it for us. Have a fantastic rest of your week. Take care, everybody.